Over 10 years ago, 2009, 13 years ago, I was playing a game called Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And one night, I was playing Domination on Terminal. And during this match, something happened that completely changed the way that I think about my time on the battlefield, whether that's in NERF, Airsoft, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, whatever. Anytime I'm playing a competitive, team-based shooting thing, this mentality drives all of my decision-making. So I'm going to tell you the story, and then I'm going to explain the conclusion that I came to, and then how that philosophy factors into NERF and what you can do with that knowledge. I also want to preface this with the fact that when I explain it, you're just going to go like, well, yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. But it's the way that you think about something that matters, not what you're thinking about. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So in this particular match, I was defending a point, and I went to go down a hallway, and a sniper took me out. So I did the natural thing, and I respawned with a sniper kit, and I tried to counter-snipe the sniper. Didn't work. So I tried this a couple more times. It didn't work out. Decided to try a completely ghosted stealth anti-sniper kit. I tried to get the perfect angle in to try to clip their foot and take them out. And then the match ended, which we won. But for some reason, this match stuck with me because I felt bad. I realized that I spent a good half the match, like 2 or 3 minutes, just trying to counter-snipe this person, completely ignoring everything else, just dealing with one person. But then the more I thought about it, I realized that I wasn't necessarily doing the wrong thing. I probably did it for the wrong reason, but it still served a purpose. Now I want you to ask yourself, what is the purpose of a dart? What is the purpose of tagging another player when you're on the field? Generally speaking, assuming you're playing a team-based game mode with an objective, it's just to eliminate the player, take them out of the race for a while, right? You're getting them off the field. But the problem is, the concept of getting somebody off the field isn't quantifiable. You can't really measure how well you got somebody off the field. You can't really measure how much of a disruption that there is. But you can. Because you can measure disruption in time. Again, I know. Bear with me. Now, imagine that we're playing Flux, and we have to capture 2 points on the field and hold them until the end of the match. And let's say that the match is 5 minutes long. That's actually a really long time for Flux, but let's just say it's 5 minutes. And let's say we're playing with a 30-second respawn timer, and let's say that this field is pretty large, so the walking distance from the respawn to like the place where stuff is happening is about 15 seconds. That means if I get hit with this dart, I am going to spend 15 seconds walking to the respawn, 30 seconds respawning, and then 15 seconds walking back before I can do anything useful. So that means that this dart took 1 minute of my effective battlefield time, the time that I am able to do things. Now I want you to take that concept and multiply it. Let's say in a match, there are 10 people on each side, 20 players total. That means that each team collectively has 50 minutes to spend on the field. They have 50 minutes of effective time, assuming that they never get tagged and everything goes great. They have 50 minutes. Each team has an equal amount of time. Once the match starts, every decision, every tag, everything that happens is costing somebody time. And that is what really changed how I think about everything. And I told you, when you hear it, it sounds simple. It's like, yeah, duh. But really just think about it. In that match, that other sniper that I was fighting against, yes, he cost me like 2 minutes of effective time. I also cost them 2 minutes of effective time. So even though they shot me like 5 or 6 times and eliminated me 5 or 6 times, that's all that person was accomplishing. So yeah, they cost me 2 minutes. I cost them 2 minutes. So even though I didn't get any eliminations, I effectively eliminated them just as well as they eliminated me. And that kind of mentality is what really started seeping in and rewiring my brain. And the way that you can apply this to your gameplay in NERF basically comes down to 2 things. One, and this one's obvious, be cognizant of your time. Think about everything that you're doing and how much time it's costing you. Because If you're watching a hallway and you watch it for 30 seconds and nothing happens, you basically just got tagged out. You were not being effective for the same amount of time that you would have been not effective if somebody had shot you with a dart. You basically just removed yourself from the battlefield completely. Yes, there is value in holding territory and stuff, etc., but just bear with me. So something that I do all the time is whenever I am doing a thing, whether that's reloading, scavenging, watching an objective, firing at somebody, whatever, if I am still doing that thing a few seconds later, because a few seconds is a long time in the middle of a NERF match, I quickly ask myself, does what I'm doing have value? Or should I go do something else? And if I feel like I'm not adding value, that I'm not contributing to my team and the objective that I'm trying to accomplish, then I go do something else. I just immediately change. Because every second that I'm out there, I am spending my team's effective time. But the second way that you can use this, and the more interesting one, and the reason I wanted to make this video, is to think about ways that you can cost other people time. The obvious ones are things like suppressive fire, holding a position, tagging people, just being a menace and causing havoc, that kind of thing. That's obvious. But there are less obvious ways. And especially if you are not especially good at stuff. See, something that I've learned is that people generally suck at letting things go. Let's jump into another hypothetical. Let's say I'm behind a tree and I see another player behind a tree. I take a shot at them and I miss. They take a shot at me, I get behind the tree, I lean out, I take a shot, they take a shot, you do the whole thing. A couple seconds later, neither of us are out and I've just wasted a bunch of time. But if I take that shot, they shoot back at me, I take maybe one other shot, and then I just like reposition myself and start dealing with something over here, or just like leave entirely, assuming they can't see me, I am no longer wasting time, but I guarantee you that they're going to spend at least 15-30 seconds waiting for you to come back out of that tree. They're going to be waiting to engage with you because you are no longer engaged with them, but as far as they know, they're still engaged with you. They're still locked in that moment. And even if they kind of get over it somewhat quickly, chances are it's still distracting them. They're still going to be shooting at something over here and periodically checking because as far as their brain knows, you are still behind that tree and people can't let that go. I have played games of Call of Duty where I've gone behind a rock, fired some shots, maybe I hit some people, maybe I didn't, it doesn't matter, and then I just left. And then as I flanked around somewhere else, I can look over and you'll see like 3 or 4 people just really dialed into that rock that I was behind, or trying to flank it or shooting at it or whatever, and they waste a ton of time because people just don't let things go. Circling back to my first point of not wasting time, this is also just a good skill to have if you are engaging in a firefight with somebody and it's not like going anywhere. Unless you're holding somebody up who is of value or something, like maybe they're a really good shot or they have like a momentum or something and you need to keep them off the field, that has value. But otherwise, like, if you're not doing anything, move on. Go fight someone else. There's always more people in the field. This also sort of works against people with shields. If I see somebody with a shield, I will frequently just kind of fire at them for like no real reason. Well, actually, I have another reason, but I'll talk about that in a different video. But I fire at them aimlessly just to get their attention a couple times, and then I just kind of pay attention to something else, and they will face the shield towards you and do the whole like, this is Sparta shield march thing towards your position, which usually opens them up from being hit to the side, or otherwise is just causing them to not do whatever they're doing for a little bit because they are caught up in that moment of like, I have a shield and I'm deflecting shots and it feels cool. Capitalize on them feeling cool. Punish them for it. I'm just kidding. Sort of. And I don't know if I'm really driving this home. I don't know if this thought is as profound to other people as it is to me. Like, I know the impact this has had on the way that I think, but maybe it doesn't mean anything to anyone else. I really don't know. At the very least, even if this is all gibberish, I just want you to take away the fact that eliminating a player costs them time, one way or another. And that is a thing that you can quantify, which means that you can then equate it to other stuff. You spend a minute scavenging darts, you basically just got eliminated 4 times. And when you think of things in those terms, you can start to weigh your decisions. You can decide that this thing is more valuable than this thing because this thing's going to cost me this amount of time. I hope that made sense. This is the third time I've recorded this, and I think I get worse at explaining it every time, but I'm just gonna go with it and see what happens. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.